Good evening and welcome to episode 8 of Talking Trash. I'm James Langfield.
I'm Bohan.
And I'm Claire Abraham.
And thank you for joining us once again. This week we are talking about our top 5 finishing moves in professional wrestling. Those moves that are used at the end of a match to make sure that the guy gets over, the guy gets the 1, 2, 3, or the submission, or as the case may be. So we'll kick things off with Claire. What is your number 5 finisher?
My number 5 is the pop-up powerbomb, which is currently being used by Kevin Owens. I just think it looks so good. No matter how it's done, whether he's catching a guy mid-air, whether it's off the side of the apron, which we are all very aware at this point is the hardest part of the ring. It just looks good. It looks like it could put a guy away, and I just like it. And like I said, it looks good when you add a flourish as well. Looks good on its own. Looks good when you catch a guy mid-air. Just a nice finisher.
No, I agree. I like the pop-up powerbomb. It's a good one. I do enjoy seeing Kevin Owens hit that. Kevin Owens is one of my guys as well. One of my favorite wrestlers at the moment. Bohan, what's your number 4?
Do you mean
5? Sorry, 5.
I was about to say botch. So my number 5 is some people won't know it as a finisher for what it's worth, but it was a finisher prior to him coming to the WWE. It's the Bloody Sunday, also now known as the 1916, because apparently WWE thought that Bloody Sunday was too controversial a name, but then picked the year of the Easter Uprising because they don't really understand the controversy behind Ireland. But hey ho, I picked the Bloody Sunday. It's basically like a nice lifting backwards DDT brainbuster kind of thing. It's just a really nice move. It looks pretty vicious. It suited a guy of Farrell Devitt's size absolutely perfectly. Always looked like it was going to put someone away. It's just one of those things that DDTs do look vicious when they're done well, but that kind of backwards lift and stuff like that, it is a good move. Although they turned it into a weird kind of almost like sort of straight DDT rather than a brainbuster when he got to WWE again. But I digress. It's one of those moves that when you saw it come out in Japan when he was with Bullet Club, you knew shit was over. You weren't getting back up. Very rarely someone got back up and they got 2 boots to the face, but you knew you weren't getting back up when you got hit with the Bloody Sunday. It did its job perfectly. It looked great. It suited Fergal. It goes on the list.
Fair enough. No, I like it. In the WWE, I did like it. The kind of the lifting implant of the DDT. It was nice. My number 5 is Petey Williams' finisher, the Canadian Destroyer. For me, it's one of the kind of those moves that is the perfect example of 2 wrestlers working together to pull off that move, because the guy who's taking it needs to pull off a backflip, and then Petey holds on, slams him with the pile driver. It's just a thing of beauty when it pulls off nicely. It's just a lovely move to watch, and it's just a perfect example of 2 guys working together in tandem to make sure that move comes off really well, and so that's why it makes my list.
Yeah, definitely. I think a good choice for your list. I love the way that move looks, and it is just pure. The 2 guys have to work together so well to be able to pull that move off. And when they pull it off well without somebody getting hurt and it looking as phenomenal as it does when it goes well, it's just a testament to how well those 2 are working together.
It does look great when it works. The only reason it didn't make my list is because of how often it doesn't. The amount of times you've seen someone pull off a destroyer very sloppily, it's one of those things that when it's done great, it looks great. See, when it's done badly, it looks awful.
No, I agree with you, but it still made my list anyway. So we're on to our number 4s. Andy, what was your number 4?
My number 4 was one of those moves. Every so often you see something and you go, oh, that's new. What the fuck? That's real fucking cool. Mine's is the PTO, I believe they called it in WWE, or the Scorpion Crosslock. I just think it's one of those finishers that looks fucking brutal, looks beautiful, requires a certain degree of sort of ability to put it on to begin with. Says a lot about someone who can actually use it effectively. But like when you can crane someone's like head back in that position and shit when they've got a hold of their arms, when they can proper contort backwards, it looks vicious. It looks like a great submission. It's just one of those things that you see and you kind of go, I don't really have a word to describe that other than pretty. I really like it. I think it's a great submission move. It worked really well for Paige when she first started using it, which we all know if anyone saw her debut. I mean, the Paige Turner, what the fuck was that, hen? No, that's not a finisher. And then she comes out and does that. And I'm like, no, that's a finisher. Okay, sure, have that. It's just a really good move. It's not done by a lot of people. It's still not outworn. It's welcome. And it's a solid submission that looks like you genuinely tap.
No, I like it. It's a good one. Not made my list, but I did like it as one of the ones I was thinking about putting in there when I was mentioning finishers when we're just kind of discussing that with one of my mates. But no, it's a good one. I like it. Claire, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Sister Abigail, obviously Bray Wyatt's move. I just love the look of it. I love like the little touch of the kiss he adds to it. I think that just adds so much to the move and just makes it his move. Like it's clearly his at that point when he does that little kiss before he yanks them over. I just think it suits him really well. It's maybe not the strongest move in the terms of people have kicked out of it and stuff. It's not very well protected, but I love it. I love seeing it. When he sets them up for it, I just want them to be able to finish it and for them not to get out of it. I anticipate it, and I just think it looks really good.
Oh no, definitely. I do like Sister Abigail. I'm a big fan of Bray Wyatt. We all know that Bray Wyatt is one of Claire's boys, as she likes to say. He's a fantastic wrestler. He is really good. My number 4, I kind of had a hard time deciding what my number 4 would be. I was switching and changing all the time. But ultimately, my number 4 was the sharpshooter. A lot of people use it right now. We've got Natalia, we've got Cesaro using it. Bret Hart was the guy who used the sharpshooter for the longest part of his career. It's one of those moves that you see it coming, the feet go through, the crossover sitting on the back. And there's been iconic moments with the sharpshooter, Stone Cold passing out in pain in the Iron Man match with Bret Hart. You know, those moments that you see the sharpshooter locked on, when he had it locked on Yokozuna, when he had it locked on other guys, when he had the match with his own brother. It's just one of those ones where it's one of those matches, one of those moves that is an iconic move within wrestling. I couldn't leave it off my list, so my number 4 was the sharpshooter.
Yeah, it made my list. Didn't make it onto my final list, but it's one of those iconic moves. And me and Bohan are those children who don't listen to the safety warnings of don't try this at home, and we have tried the sharpshooter in our living room. Didn't go well for us.
It's one of those moves, though, when you really look at it. Sharpshooter is a great move. It's a great fundamental sort of wrestling hold. It's survived through the years. Everyone's fucking used it. The Rock, Cesaro, Natalia, like you said. Sting. I mean, you didn't call it the sharpshooter, but it's still the sharpshooter. Can we acknowledge that, or do we need to kayfabe that? Not sure. But, like, it's a solid move. I honestly say the best person ever, like the best version of it I ever saw was Owens, personally. But then again, I'm biased because Owen Hart is my dear departed savior. But I mean, like, as far as it goes for that, I can totally see why it made your list.
No, I like that one. Let's move on to our number 3s. We'll start with Claire. Claire, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is the swinging fisherman's neck breaker, which is Nikki Storm or Nikki Cross finisher. I just think it suits her so well. She's like, not in any disrespectful way, but she's a very short woman. She is very small, and it just looks like such a powerful move when she does it. And I just think it looks impressive. I think it works really well for her. I enjoy seeing her put it on and complete it. I've seen her accidentally break a leg with it, mind you, in person, right in my eye line. That wasn't so great, but just in general, it's again one of those moves. I think it really suits her, and it's kind of a bit more unusual for a female. And I just think it looks really nice.
No, it is a nice finish. I do enjoy seeing that when it gets hit. It is a good one. Bohan, what's your number 3?
Is it me? Sorry, because it kind of broke up a little bit there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, your number 3, please.
My number 3 is old school as fuck. Like, when I say old school as fuck, I mean old school as fuck. I mean, it's on here by virtue of the fact that how Marty Scurll uses it more than anything, but it's still been a great move for everyone who's ever used it. It's the crossface chicken wing. It's one of those moves that just Skrull does it great. Skrull gets on a guy's back, drags him the fuck down. It looks absolutely brutal. It looks like he's trying to rip your goddamn head off. But it's one of those fundamental little holds that uses actual logic. Every little thing about that hold hurts. It doesn't look pleasant to be in. It looks like it's brutal to go into. And see, once you're in it, you're kind of tied up. Like, you can possibly move out, like, and realistic, like, you can maybe get yourself out if you try real hard, but it doesn't look like a move that's easy to escape either. It's everything that a good submission finisher should be. So yeah, crossface chicken wing, Bob Backlund for president.
No, I do like the crossface chicken wing. It is one of those, like you said, it's one of those old school moves that makes a resurgence every once in a while, and guys do tend to use it, and it is a legitimate submission hold. That being said, we'll go on to my number 3, and my number 3 is kind of appropriate, is that it's a tag team finisher. It is the 3D, the Dudley Death Drop used by the Dudley Boys. One of the greatest tag team finishers of all time, I think. The whip off the rope, the flapjack from Devon, then the cutter from Bubba Ray. Just a brilliant finisher. And whether it's through a table or straight onto the mat, it was as devastating as any other finishing move that a tag team has pulled out. And so for that reason, it makes my number 3.
It's one of those moves as well that, like, the two guys really helps, because, like, on its own, either of those, like, the cutter maybe, the flapjack not so much, but, like, when it's one of those cases of, like, where, like, all of the move itself is greater than the sum of its parts. Like, all of the little touches really come together quite nicely on the 3D. 3D didn't make my list, but I considered it. I tried to limit myself to one tag finisher only. That'll come.
Fair enough. But there we go. We are on our penultimate choices. We'll go with Bohan. Bohan, what's your number 2?
Phone was being funny there. Sorry, couldn't unmute myself. My number 2 is a move that everyone still sees all the goddamn time now, but no one seems to know what it was fucking called. It's the Diamond Cutter. It's a move that can be done from literally anywhere. It's a move that was purposely put together to be done from anywhere. We wouldn't have all of the RKO out of nowhere shit if Diamond Dallas Page hadn't saw that and went, I can pull that off from just about any place I want to. It was one of those things that WCW didn't always build to things well, whether that was storylines or the pace of a match and stuff like that. But generally speaking, even though a couple of them came kind of, legitimately out of nowhere, you knew when it was time for a Diamond Cutter, it would come, it would work well. It was just a really solid finishing move. There's a reason Randy Orton fucking went, that's mine, as soon as DDP was done, you know? It's a great move, really like it. And I love Diamond Dallas Page. He's just the absolute man.
See, I was tempted to put the RKO in mine, and because solely for the reason that I hadn't seen enough of Diamond Dallas Page's work to really say which I thought was the better, DDP or RKO. So I was going to put the RKO in my list, but ultimately I didn't want to have that kind of who's did it better. But I just like the RKO. It's one of my favorite finishes. It hasn't made my list at all, but it is brilliant. And Randy's does literally come out of nowhere at times. So it was tempted to put it in, but ultimately I didn't. Claire, what was your number 2?
My number 2 was the Red Arrow. I mean, it speaks for itself. Do I even need to say why it's number 2? It's just fucking beautiful. Neville does it so well. It's just so nice to see. It's one of those moves that you really anticipate because it's just so pretty. And it's just really nice to see that sort of athleticism being pulled off. And it's a bit mind-boggling. Like, see, when you, like, it's great when you see it done. Then when you see the slow-mo replay and you see how much height he's getting off of it, it just kind of melts your brain a little, or at least it does mine. And I just really enjoy seeing it every time he pulls it out.
Oh, no, it's a fantastic move. I was very tempted to put it in my list as well. Neville just is a thing of beauty. And I think now, because of the fact of his heel persona and the fact he's using the Rings of Saturn more often, the fact that when he does pull out the Red Arrow, it's the whole, I've done everything else. I'm going to need to use a move that I don't use that often to put you away. It seems to have more of an impact now he's using it. One of those, it's a special move that he only pulls out if he really has to. Seems to kind of elevate its stature as a finisher as well.
Definitely, like, super finishers are something that just doesn't happen enough anymore. There's something to be said about a finisher that, like, you really, as soon as you see it, you know you're fucked, basically. Like, it's one of those things, like, it speaks volumes about how well protected Neville's been lately in terms of booking, but when you see that shit coming out, you know no one's getting up.
Oh, no, definitely. And I mean, he had that one, because usually he always hits it. He had that one rare miss with Tozawa, which caused him to lose the title, but most of the time he never misses that red arrow. It's one of, like I said, it's one of the best finishing moves, and then rightly so, it should be at that top of that list. My number 2 is Samoa Joe's finisher, not the Kikina clutch, a finisher that he hasn't used recently in WWE, but did use quite a lot to set up the Kikina clutch, and that is the Muscle Buster. For Buster is my number 2 because any move that originated in anime and you find a way to make that move real deserves a place on a top 5. It is a fantastic move. The fact that Joe hits it while setting it up from the turnbuckle means that can have the Muscle Buster done to him. It's a lovely move. The whole on the shoulders, tuck him in, fall back after the run, and then if needed, set in the Kikina clutch. It's just a fantastic finisher. Most of the time, if he hits it, it finishes the match. But like I said, sometimes it sets up the Kikina clutch as well. And I just love the Muscle Buster, one of my favorites. So that's what I made my number 2.
Yeah, that was the hardest one for me to cut off my list. I was sitting for a good 5-10 minutes going pop-up powerbomb, Muscle Buster, pop-up powerbomb, Muscle Buster. I love it too. I think it looks great every time he does it. I think it looks really brutal, and I really enjoy seeing it. So I totally understand why it's your number 2.
It's also from what might actually be one of my favorite animes ever. Like, I read the manga for the original, like, Muscle and stuff like that. I've gone back and looked at it, but I remember watching Ultimate Muscle as a kid who was really, really into wrestling. It was absolutely amazing. It's just nice to see something still keep the spirit of that alive and reference it on such a regular basis. At least not regular anymore, because it looks like it's on the banned list, but still, it's a nice move.
No, definitely. I did enjoy that. But we've gone from 5 all the way up to 2, and we have arrived at the number 1 spots for our finishers. So, Claire, what is your number 1?
My number 1 is the bank statement. When I was doing this list, I just kind of sat down and wrote a bunch of finishers, and I had like 12, and I was like, oh, I really need to stop writing. And the backstabber was on there, and I think that's just like personal to me, because seeing the knees to the back, just anytime I see it, I'm like, oh, okay, that looks sore. But then I thought, why have I got that on there when I could have the bank statement on there, which is obviously the backstabber flip over into the crossface. That transition she does is just beautiful. It's such a lovely move that she does, just flipping them over from the backstabber into the bank statement. It's just, I can't begin to describe how nice that was. See, the first time I seen it, I was like, wow, that is a nice finishing move. And I just think I don't know. I really enjoy seeing it. I really love that transition. I can't say that enough. And I just think it's a really nice finisher all in all. Like, it's a nice little package of a finisher. It's not just one move. It's that 2 moves and a beautiful transition.
No, I agree. Sasha Banks' bank statement, one of the best finishers for a woman, for a guy, for anybody. It is just a brilliant finisher. Didn't make my list, but I can understand why it did make yours. It is a fantastic finishing move, and like you said, that transition she makes is a beautiful transition from the backstabber into the crossface. So yeah, good choice. Bohan, what is your number 1?
My number 1 is a move whose name derives from, the man. The man who preaches the gospel according to Dave Meltzer. It is the Meltzer driver. It's the Young Bucks tag finisher. Basically, if you've never seen the Meltzer driver, it's a fucking tombstone aided by a moonsault springboard. let that sink in for a second. Nick fucking holds them in the tombstone position, and out comes his brother, fucking springboard moonsault, thrust the guy down into a spike. It's one of those things that epitomizes the modern era of flippy shit in the best way imaginable. It's a perfect little move. It's one of those things you see and you go, holy fuck. And it never seems to lose its impact no matter how many times I see it. It's one of those moves that's just so categorically well put together. I have admitting that I am a giant Young Bucks mark. I have already been through this ad nauseum on here. But that move, honestly, it's just one of those things you kind of look at and you go, where the fuck did the thought for that come from as well? Like, it's one of those things you see and you go, oh, and what planet did you think, you know what, hold them in that position, I'm going to flip. It just looks great, it works great, it genuinely looks like it could fucking kill someone. It's just a nice finisher.
Fair enough. Like I said, I'm not a big fan of the too much flippy shit, but I see where you're coming from. I haven't seen the Meltzer driver, so I might have to go through YouTube and watch it just so I can understand your point of view. But it does sound like an awesome finisher, so I can understand why it's sitting at your number one spot.
I definitely look at that if you've never seen it.
No, definitely. I'm gonna have to get onto that and have a look at it. My number one is not flippy shit. My number one is a very simple finisher. My number one consists of a kick to the gut and a cutter straight onto the chin. It's the Stone Cold Stunner. It is the perfect finisher for the perfect character. Sometimes you flip the guy off, you kick him in the gut, you hit him with a stunner, you get in his face. Stone Cold put all the sauce on that stunner that he needed to. Wait, did he need to flip a guy off before hitting it? No. Did he need to get in his face before hitting it? No. After hitting it? No, he didn't do any of that. If you just hit the Stone Cold Stunner, people will still like it. But it's those added little nuances, you know, when he was going to hit a stunner. It was brilliant. That whole kick to the gut, that added little impetus to bam, then the stunner. It was just nice. And for me, it was one of those moves you hit it, it was brilliant. And even now, even when he's just coming back to hit people with stunners and then fuck off again, I'm always happy to see that man hit his finishing move and just see people flip around the ring as they sell it to the fucking moon. Anybody who sells that move, that can sell, sells it perfectly. The Rock sold that move perfectly. There have been some guys who have just flipped and rolled over themselves when they get hit with a stunner. And it's just a tantamount to show how much respect they have for Stone Cold, that they sell that move so well. And for me, it is one of the best finishers, and I always love seeing it. I will never tire of seeing that man hit someone with a stunner, crack open a couple of beers, and have a party in the ring. So that's why it made my number one.
Nothing tops seeing The Rock get hit by it, by the way. There's something vaguely comical, and yet like it adds to it. That flip that he does when he takes the stunner backwards, like it's one of those things you just watch it and you go, mate, if this were anywhere else in the world, somebody would be going, you're having a fucking laugh. But it works so well, you can't really pick at it. Rock always sold that best.
No, definitely. I think I agree with you. The Rock did always sell the stunner best. Like I said, I love the stunner. It's a simple move, but it was so effective.
Well, real contrasting ends of the list there.
No, definitely. We have the Meltzer driver, the bank statement, and the Stone Cold Stunner. Three very different finishers, but three very worthy winners for our top spots. So as we've now finished our lists, it's time once again to review the latest WWE.
The whole train. Sorry.
No, don't apologize. I realized I put myself in that position. I don't know why I said it's time once again. I don't know why I said that, but you know, there we go. It's time to come aboard the review train. And this time we are reviewing WWE's biggest party in the summer, SummerSlam, which its two main event matches were Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman in a fatal four-way match, and Shinsuke Nakamura versus Jinder Mahal for the WWE title. So overall, before we start breaking down some of the matches that happened, what was your overall opinion on the pay-per-view itself?
I mean, I did enjoy it. I think there were some easily forgettable matches, but we kind of already had a wee discussion about this, but you know, it's in a big card like that, there's going to be some forgettable matches. Not everything can be a 5-star match.
Nothing was.
But I did enjoy it overall. I have to say, one of my favourite parts wasn't even wrestling. It was Kurt Angle and Daniel Bryan using each other's catchphrases and having a yes-no off. I loved that little backstage segment. But aside from that, overall, I thought there was some pretty decent matches on there, and it was a pretty decent card. I thought the 4-way was quite good. Having Lesnar taken away, that was a nice touch and stuff. But I suppose we can get into that as we go further.
We can indeed. Bohan, what was your kind of overall opinion on the show?
I think we need to finally accept that 4 hours is too much. Like, it's fine at Mania if you've built storylines all year that can work to it. But see at SummerSlam, when you've got like most of your stuff resolved and everyone's on the back burner, you're about to start the cycle again. I mean, it sounds bad, but there's so much on that card that could have just not been there and no one would have fucking cared because you didn't build to it. Don't put on a 4-hour show unless you're going to build 4 hours worth of feuds. Fucking just cut it down to 3 and be done with it.
I mean, technically, it was a fucking 6-hour show because the pre-show was 2 hours on its own.
Yeah, but I mean, even coming back to that, like your pre-show is allowed to be shit. That's kind of the point. Let's be honest. I mean, when your pre-show does well, great, sure, why not? But the pre-show is allowed to be shit because it's the pre-show. No one's watching the pre-show on YouTube and thinking, "Oh, I really need to buy the network because of this," which is actually kind of meant to be the point of it, but still. Most pre-shows, garbage match or two, is what it is.
Nah, I see your point. It wasn't a brilliant pre-show. There was a couple of matches on there that were worth mentioning. I'll do that in a moment. I'm just trying to. Do either of you guys have the card up there? Because right now I'm struggling to find it. I should have had it before I started the show, but I didn't.
No, Bohan had it up earlier. Let's see if we can get it. Look at us being all prepared and shit.
I know. So professional, aren't we? Here we go.
Okay.
There we go. I've got the card here now. It's fine. I got my phone next to me, so that's always good. Here we go. Background. No, I don't need the background. Wikipedia. Who the fuck writes this much of a... That is ridiculous. This background is huge. Who wants to fucking this amount of background information?
I completely fucking agree with you.
I mean, I can understand people wanted to write stuff, but come on, this is getting ridiculous now. I'm just trying to get to the matches.
There we go. So we done.
Here we go. There we go. Right then. So there was the pre-show, which I understand neither of you guys saw. So we'll just quick. Do you guys know the results? So I'm not going to spoil anything.
Yeah, go ahead. We know.
If you hadn't spoiled shit, the main show did very quickly.
That's fine. I know. I'm just making sure. Like I said, anybody who's listening right now, we are going to give out the results for the matches. So if you don't want to hear the results for SummerSlam, turn off now, and we'll catch you next time. So as it stands out, the first match on the pre-show was the Miz and the Miztourage against the Hardy Boys and Jason Jordan. The Miz and the Miztourage won that match. It was okay. It was the first match of the pre-show. The crowd wasn't huge. The Miz mentioned that in his Raw interview the night after. There might have been some issues in getting the whole crowd in. It wasn't a full crowd by any means. It was okay. It was a pre-show match.
I think that the show started at 5 and the door opened at 5.
I know it is kind of. It didn't start straight away. I mean, they had a bit of talking and then the match started. So it was about 20 minutes, I think, 20, 30 minutes into the pre-show before that match started. So they probably only had a few hundred people, maybe 1,000 coming into the building by that time. It was only half an hour before, as people were getting in there. So they're still having ticket checks, bag checks, whatever it is. So it was by no means full.
Further proof WWE couldn't plan a fucking piss up in a brewery at the best of times.
Yeah, I mean, they really should have had like the 6 o'clock start for the pre-show and open the doors at 5 to make sure, you've got a good solid crowd in there when the pre-show matches actually start. But that's by the by. That's for another time. Next match on the card was Neville against Akira Tozawa. Tozawa was defending the cruiserweight title. Tozawa lost that match, which to me was a surprise. He only had it for a week. I was very surprised that they only let Tozawa keep that belt for a week and then drop it again to Neville straight after. It kind of smacked that they didn't know what to do with either of them. Either that they didn't know what to do with Neville and they didn't have the belt, or that they didn't know what to do with Tozawa now he had the belt, and so they kind of went back to the status quo and just put the belt back on Neville. So Neville carries on being the heel champion and no one's on the Neville level, and you have people, underdogs coming up against him. It was kind of those ones that nobody knew what the fuck to do, so we'll just go back to the status quo as it was before.
MC belt.
Yeah, it was a kind of an interim title run for a week. It was lovely. And then the match after that was the Usos. They beat the New Day to win the tag team titles. They're 4-time tag team champions now on SmackDown. Again, a very short run for the New Day. Wasn't expecting it. I don't know why they decided the New Day only needed a short run. Maybe they feel that they're better off as challengers rather than champions. It's one of those weird things. I didn't understand why they decided to take the belts off the New Day, but only a short run into it. Didn't make much sense. But there we go.
Get it, though. I mean, the whole Uso sort of look at us, we're the badasses gimmick doesn't really work as a chaser. You can't really do that whole sort of look. We're gonna put you in fucking prison bullshit when you're the champ, when you're not the champion. It doesn't really work the same way.
No, I get your point. It was just kind of those. We all want to see the New Day as champions, and then hold on a second, they got the belts taken away from them. It was one of those weird things. But that was the pre-show. For me, it was kind of weird, but the opening match of the night was John Cena versus Baron Corbin. The match was it was a 10-minute match. John Cena went over Baron Corbin. It was okay. For me, the talking point was that John Cena was the opening match on a card. Wasn't expecting that at all.
It's not the first time. I've seen John Cena be the opening match on a card when he's defending a belt before. Now that's strange, but I mean, all in all, this match was very much summed up by 3 words. 3 very familiar words to a lot of wrestling fans. Lol, Cena wins. I mean, it was what it was. It wasn't exactly a fucking classic anyway. It was a bit of nothing match for 10 minutes. A couple of nice spots in there, but for the most part, wasn't really that bothered. Didn't really go any other way than you saw it going when you saw it written on the card. It wasn't bad. It was just predictable. Nothing really to write home about for what it's worth.
No, I agree with you. Like I said, it was kind of a throwaway match. Wasn't brilliant. Any thoughts, Claire?
Yeah, this was one of the matches I was talking about when I had my wee sum up earlier on, that it was kind of forgettable. It was, as Bohan summed it up, lol, Cena wins. I can't even remember my prediction for this match that I had last time on the show, but I mean, it's kind of inevitable that you think in this situation Cena's going to win, especially with Corbin horrifically losing the briefcase. Don't know what that was about, but yeah, it didn't really surprise me that it was at the start of the show. I think this match kind of deserved to be at the start of the show, really. It was all right, but nothing really that interesting, to be honest.
Was very much a paint by numbers Cena match, You knew all the spots that were going to come, where they were going to be. It was an opener to get the crowd going. That's what it was for.
No, yeah, I agree with you. Wasn't the best match in the world. Next match on the card then was Natalya against Naomi for the WWE SmackDown Women's Championship. Natalya won that match via the sharpshooter. I'm not too sure. I think I said that I thought Naomi was going to win, but I wanted Natalya to win. So I'm happy Natalya's won. It means we've finally gotten rid of that piece of shit Glow title, the kids' toy, the marketing crap that nobody fucking wanted. But I'm happy with that. It was an enjoyable match. It's finally, I think it was finally time for Natalya to get a chance to run with the ball, and hopefully she does a little bit of something with it before inevitably she drops the title to Carmella when she cashes in. So, hopefully Natalya gets a bit of a run first.
Get out my head. That was exactly pretty much what I thought of the match. I was happy to see Natalya win. Really glad we don't have to see that glow belt anymore. Like, what the fuck was that? A bit surprised, but pleasantly surprised. It was a decent match. There was some nice moves in it. As we were talking about earlier, the sharpshooter is a nice move. And I'm happy to see Natty with the belt. So yeah, good all over.
Hashtag give Naomi a chance is finally dead. I mean, let's be honest, I was willing to give her a shot. She wasn't terrible. She's by no means the worst woman that's ever held a WWE belt. That honour could probably be shared between quite a few people that operated in the company between 2000 and 2007. But I mean, all things said, but 1,000 days it was between her reigns. I don't really think that they use Natalya as well as they can. I have a lot of respect for Natalya. Good, solid fundamentals, great wrestler, good match. Managed to get a good performance out of Naomi, who has been kind of spotty depending on the partner she's had lately. It was time to take the belt off of Naomi. They kick up a fuss because they got on that bandwagon where everyone was trying to get her like pushed and shit. But I'm not really bothered. I don't really feel like she had the best of runs with the belt. I think a lot of that is down to like sort of just Naomi's very much she's a John Cena. She's got a John Cena circa 2007, I should say. She's got a set move set. She does all her spots, and that's it. You never really see too much new from her in any matches. It was all in all pretty decent. Give Natalya a decent run with it. You could probably get a good babyface turn out of her when you have Carmella finally turn up with that briefcase, clock her in the head, and take her belt off her.
I was going to say, I do have to quickly add, I did feel like Naomi's reaction afterwards was a tad too much. I was just thinking, can you please just get out the ring now? Like, sitting all pouty with, like, a couple of tears rolling down. It just felt, like, I know it's sad to lose a belt, but it just felt a bit hammy.
Yeah, it was a bit over the top for me as well.
Yeah, you're right. You held the belt for nearly 6 months. Get the fuck out of the ring and give it a last year moment. You've no waited 1,000 days for this.
No, I agree with you. I think Natalya should have been allowed to, stay in the ring and bask in a moment. But that's by the by. It's already happened, so we can't change what should have happened. Next match was Big Cass against the Big Show, in which Enzo Amore was suspended from the ring in a Shark Tank in what me, Bohan, and Claire like to refer to as the Let's Try and Sell a Toy match. It was okay. Playset match. My apologies. Yeah.
And clearly now they have shares in baby oil. I mean, they must do, right?
Well, product placement for Johnson & Johnson, definitely. I could see that pink bottle cap a fucking metal.
Oh yeah, I mean, like I said before we went live, what self-respecting wrestler wouldn't carry baby oil with him at any time, just in case he's trapped in a shark cage and needs to strip down to his boxer shorts, lather himself up, and slide out of the bars, which were clearly wide enough for him to slip out of without the need of baby oil whatsoever. Anyway,
I mean, I think our current discussion kind of sums up the match, really, that we're talking about Enzo escaping from the shark cage rather than the actual match.
No, like I said, honestly, before we went live, I was talking to Bohan and Claire about this match, and I honestly don't remember it. I stayed up to watch this. And I must have dozed off at some point because I woke up and the match had finished, and I was like, "What the hell happened?" And it was only through watching Raw that I saw the highlights in which Enzo slipped out of the cage, and I was like, I must have missed this. I must have fell asleep for a few minutes because I don't remember seeing that. And if I had seen that, I probably would have said, "What the fuck are they doing?" Because it was weird, and we're talking more about that than the fact that Kaz has gone over Big Show on multiple occasions now, and I think Big Show's pay-per-view record is terrible. I know his WrestleMania record's terrible, but when is Big Show going to finally realize that he probably should be hanging up his boots by now? He's just going to be putting people over, and now he's put Cass over. Who does Cass move on to?
I think it speaks volumes grounds for the big guy though that he's willing to stick about and do that. That business has given him so much, he's willing to give it back. Fair play to him. If he wants to stick about and be a jobber, I'm happy for him to stick about as long as he wants. Especially like the one spot from the actual match and amongst that I really remember is Big Show's chokeslam. Now, I've always really liked Big Show's chokeslam, but it got to a point where when you could see that his knees weren't as good anymore and he had the kind of excess weight on, he wouldn't go right down to the canvas on it, and he did on this one, and it looked fucking brutal. But I mean, other than that, the majority of the spots in this match, just the match itself was pretty forgettable. The shenanigans with Enzo in the cage was pointless when you could see that he could clearly make his way out. It was redundant. The whole thing just reeked of, we decided we were going to sell the playset again. You could have shoved that on the fucking pre-show and probably reached a bigger audience through YouTube anyway. So it's a mystery to me that this made the main card while you had 2 title matches on the fucking pre-show.
Also, if you make it out of that cage, why are you not jumping on the guy from that height? Why are you dangling down from the cage, giving him time to set up a fucking move? Like, you didn't even use that gimmicky bit well in any way.
No, like I said, I must have dozed off because I can't remember fuck all about that match, so I can't really comment on it. Going on from that,
she didn't miss much.
No, I woke up and then I saw the next thing that happened was Randy Orton beat Rusev in 10 fucking seconds. What the fuck was up with that?
Fuck that match. Fuck that match right in its stupid face. And the run up to it, watching Rusev ragdoll fucking Randy Orton, I was like, oh great, a repeat of last year. A match that doesn't happen. Then the bell rang, RKO, fucking pin. I'm looking at that and I'm going, that's just such a fucking waste. Orton doesn't need the win in the first place. Orton doesn't need to put fucking Rusev in the ground in 10 seconds. It was so redundant. It upset me greatly. I've got a lot of respect for Rusev. Guy's got a lot of talent and a lot of ability. Doesn't get the opportunity to show it. That's just kind of endemic of how they book the foreign guys. Here comes ethnic bad guy number 4 to job out to fucking all-American Marine deserter Randy K. Orton. You know?
It's just one I say. I've never been a big fan. I like Randy Orton, but just jobbing out ethnic guys is a shame. WWE have never had a British-born champion. They've never had. They've had other champions from other ethnic backgrounds, but they're always painted as the bad guy. It would be nice if you had faces. I mean, Khali was a face, but then again, who the fuck cares about Khali? But a lot of the time, if they're from an ethnic area, they're portrayed as a heel. Going up against Americans, everybody's against them, blah, blah, blah. It's the same old shit. And this was just, like I said, it's endemic of the way that they book, heels who are from ethnic areas, Russia, Bulgaria, wherever they're from. They just go, right, you're a bad guy. You're going over, you're losing to an American because that's the best thing for it. That's what people want to see. And that's not what we want to see. WWE forget sometimes that they have an overseas audience who aren't of an American mindset. We don't think like Americans, or we don't think like some Americans. It was just one of those matches, like you said, it was forgettable. It's a piece of shit. Randy didn't need the win. It was a terrible booking decision from WWE.
Yeah, I mean, it was ultimately pointless. I don't know who, kind of thought, like, out of creative went, let's do this match. I mean, there was just, like, I know a lot of WWE stuff at the minute. We've talked kind of regularly throughout it about not keeping feuds going and wrapping stuff up quickly and stuff like that. But I mean, this was just, it did nothing other than bury Rusev further than they've already buried him. Like, what? And unless someone backstage is trying to punish him for something, what was the point in this match? Like, there was none. There wasn't really any build up. And is there going to be anything after? Like, maybe are they going to get another match out of it? But like, in the context of just this match, it did nothing. Absolutely nothing. It was the most pointless match I think I've ever seen.
No, I agree with you. It was an absolute terrible match, but luckily, the match saved the pay-per-view saved itself or redeemed itself a little bit. By the next match, it was Sasha Banks who defeated Alexa Bliss to win the Raw Women's Championship, and that was a solid match. I love Alexa Bliss. She's a fantastic heel. It was a really good match against her and Sasha Banks. It was absolutely amazing. I really enjoyed it. Solid match. Redeemed it. Pay-per-view redeemed itself. Got people back on track from after seeing the Randy Orton match. It was nice to see Sasha take a title again. And then hopefully we're going to see a nice little feud with Alexa getting the rematch. And like I said, I like Alexa Bliss. She's a fantastic heel. And I think her and Sasha are going to have a nice little program there as well.
Yeah, I mean, they're both absolutely phenomenal workers. So, I mean, it was a recipe for a good match, putting them two in the ring together. And it was a great match. I really loved that they went for it. They were hitting hard in that match, and it showed. And it was just really enjoyable. Nice spots, nice pace. Everything about it was nice. I like Bliss. I wouldn't have been angry if she'd kept the belt, but I'm quite happy that Sasha has it. I think if WWE do it right, that could lead to, like you were saying, a nice run on with Bliss getting a rematch and stuff. So I do agree with you that this kind of pulled the pay-per-view back round a little bit.
This is one of those instances of long-term WWE booking, because when you look back at Sasha versus Alexa Bliss over the last while, Sasha's got her number. She's had her number for a while. Furthers that storyline, there's eventually going to have to be a payoff where Bliss finally beats her outright. But, I mean, it is one of those rare situations where long-term continuity comes into play. I'm always happy when that happens. It was a great match, as you said, nice and stiff. Like, everything about it was just fantastic. It worked really well for the pair of them. They do have a real chemistry together, which is odd given I've read that the pair of them don't like each other very much. But, I mean, it worked out very well. Pair of them put on a very enjoyable match. Bliss will eventually get that strap back, but I'm looking forward to the build up to it happening.
No, definitely. It was a nice match. Then after that match came, given that they're both Claire's favourites, I think we'll dub this one the Battle of Claire's Boys. It was Finn Balor, or Demon Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, and I enjoyed it. Anytime Finn breaks out the demon face paint, the demon persona, you're in for a fun time. I love Finn Balor either the demon or just standard Finn. And this match didn't disappoint. The build-up, his entrance was just a thing of beauty. Crowd get behind it. It's been a year between the SummerSlam of last year when he was a demon and won the Universal title to this SummerSlam. It's been that long, and it was a nice payoff. I think bringing the demon back to face Bray Wyatt was just a nice, and yes, I'd said earlier that maybe they should have waited before bringing the demon out, but I enjoyed it. Hopefully, they might even take this further. I still enjoy it, and hopefully, they carry on having a bit of a feud and a program. I do love seeing Bray Wyatt and Finn Balor work. They work well together. They've got nice chemistry. The match flowed. And it was just a nice to see Finn get that payoff with a coup de grace, beat Bray Wyatt, and hopefully move that feud on. If it's Finn going on to title opportunities, then great. If it's not, and they just carry on feuding with him and Bray Wyatt, I'll still enjoy that as well, because those two work really well together. They've got a lovely chemistry, and that match was fantastic. I really enjoyed it. And like I said, anytime that the demon gets brought out to play is always a fun time for me as well.
Yeah, Bohan's tried to tell me that Finn can't be a boy because he's held a belt, and I understand that that's the tradition, but he's still a boy to me, and so is Bray. And this match is like picking between my children, even though I don't have any. I imagine that's what it feels like. But it was a great match. Loved it. Loved seeing the demon, like yourself, every time we see the demon. I love it. I loved all his kind of face paint work before he came in, and we're not seeing it as much now, but I do love to see it come out. I would have quite liked what we discussed in the last podcast with him coming out not with the face paint and then having a bit of a longer feud where he has to bring it out to beat Bray. But putting that to the side, I thought it was a really fantastic match. I loved that little bit where he's got the whole world in his hands at the start of Finn's entrance music. I thought that was a beautiful little touch, just nice, trying to get under Bray's skin, and worked really well with Finn's entrance music. Just really, really enjoyed this match. They worked really well together. Obviously, I don't want to see it overdone, but I wouldn't mind seeing another couple of matches with them. I think they worked really well together, and another match that, you know, started to tilt this pay-per-view on the upward slant. We started low when we got building up with the women's match in this match.
All in all, a great match. Again, really well put together, really well told story. Liked a lot of the spots, like Finn on the apron was great. I liked the whole story of Finn Balor desperately trying to get the finisher in and failing multiple times and trying to get that corner drop kick. It was a nice way to tease the. Well, you know, it's really when guys have that set, like as we used to call it, the 5 moves of doom because of John Cena. Like when they have that kind of set up to a finisher, it can feel very telegraphed. It's a good way of getting around it to have it fail a few times at the very least. Two sides of the same coin, like I keep saying. It was very obvious in this match that you had two people whose gimmicks were very similar and yet very, very different. Worked incredibly well together. The aesthetic of the whole thing worked very well. Everything about this match was great. But I do want to say, and I didn't really think about this until now, but you kind of mentioned that this was a year since he injured himself. I really feel like they missed an opportunity. I feel like he'd have been better served possibly in that main event. Maybe in place of Roman Reigns taking that belt back a year later. Would have been a nice way to go about it. Possibly a better fit for him. But it was a great match. It's a relatively good feud. We'll see how long it runs. At the very least, this should be his last program before going back for the belt, I imagine. It very much should be, because realistically, it's a horrible, terrible sin that he ended up injured and couldn't do anything with that run with that belt. And I really don't want to see them not get the confidence to put it back on him. Because honestly, him with that belt's going to print fucking money.
No, I agree with you. I'd like to see Finn with the belt back. I think, you know, Finn could have a nice program with Lesnar if they want to go down that route. I think that would be nice. Maybe have the Demon versus the Beast. That would be pretty cool. But moving on from that, the next match was the Cesaro and Sheamus, who like to call themselves, I think it's the Bar right now, going up against the semi-reformed Shield and Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, and they took the titles off Cesaro and Sheamus. It was an enjoyable match. It was nice to see a partial Shield revival. That whole kind of will they, won't they kind of thing. I did enjoy the build up to that. You know, a few weeks going down the line of first Seth wanting to reform it and Dean wants to do with it. Then Dean wants to reform it and Seth saying no. It was just kind of that nice back and forth between them before they got together. And it was a bit rushed to give them the tag team opportunity and the belt straight away, but hopefully they'll do something with it. And we'll see what goes on from there. Will it lead to a full-blown Shield renewal with Roman joining as well? Time will tell. But we'll see what goes on from there. But I enjoyed that match.
God, I hope not. Leave the two of them be. They don't need that tag along. But aside from that, I like that they're back together. I like them as a tag team. It didn't sit great with me that they gave them the belt, you know, their first match really as a tag team again. I think they could have teased that out a little bit longer. But, I mean, the match itself was a great match. I enjoyed the match. I'm just not... I didn't really like seeing the belts go to them that quickly after getting back together, but I'm quite happy that they're kind of back together, and I hope they are going to at least do something with it, because, you know, we've talked a little bit of what the changes of the belts have been so far. There was already kind of 2 hot potatoes in this card. I hope they're not going to do that with these belts as well, because that's a lot of changey, and you don't really want to be devaluing stuff. But all in all, the match itself was enjoyable.
Great match. Probably, arguably for me, the best finish of the night as well. That ending spot. Holy shit, 3 finishers in like 10 seconds. You're not getting up, son. Just stay dead. It was a great match. I really enjoyed it. I get the point about like sort of the tag belts going on them a bit quick. I said that at the time, although see, the more I think about it, Rock in a hard place, because their whole partnership is predicated on that shaky sort of we're friends again sort of now thing. So like if they'd lost, realistically, Storyline wise, you'd have probably had to break them up, which would have rendered the whole thing pointless anyway. Probably shouldn't have put them in a tag title match as quick. I get it though. I mean, there's not that deep a roster in terms of tag teams on Raw right now. So having the two guys who are sitting on the periphery of the main event anyway, give them something to do so you've not cluttered your big stage too much. Fair play. Makes a lot of booking sense to do what they've done. The fans are really into it. All in all, a good match. I'm always happy to see the pair of them together. Sheamus and Cesaro got a great showing. Cesaro ripping the beach ball up was glorious. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious as well when I realised what he'd done, because I saw him coming out for the crowd and I'm like, why the fuck was Cesaro? Oh, that's two halves of a beach ball. Cesaro just went full heel and crushed their dreams. Good. I mean, everything about the match was great except from the dickhead fans fucking throwing about the beach ball initially. But Cesaro put a fucking quick stop to that and made them pay attention, which is full credit to Cesaro, by the way. Turn around and address that and go, you know what, I'm going to fucking do something about this time. No, I'm not going to stand here while you cunts ignore me and play with a beach ball. Like, well done, mate. Well done. If that was impromptu, it's probably one of the best decisions anyone's made off the hoof like that. But all in all, yeah, solid match. Really enjoyed it. Didn't mind too much them taking the belts, more minded the lack of build.
Nah, fair enough. I understand where you're coming from there. Next match on the card, AJ Styles against Kevin Owens for the United States Championship with Shane McMahon as a special guest referee. AJ Styles successfully defended the belt after Kevin Owens got in Shane's face after what he thought was Shane blowing a call where AJ's foot was on the rope. Kevin pushes Shane pushes Kevin into AJ Styles. AJ Styles hits the Styles Clash, end of the match. I enjoyed it. I'm kind of enjoying Kevin Owens' descent into paranoia about conspiracies. I'm loving the fact that Kevin Owens is clearly unhinged right now and seems to think that everybody's out to get him. Nobody wants him to be a champion. Everyone's screwing him over. And just this loss again is further deepening his paranoia, deepening that conspiracy for him. I'm just loving his descent into madness right now. So AJ keeping the title, I think, was the right decision. And I'm just loving Kevin Owens going absolutely mental at the moment.
Again, historically, this is, I get you don't watch a great deal of Ring of Honor, neither did Claire really. She watches bits and pieces with me. I used to be massive into Ring of Honor, and Kevin Steen's like big run when Cornette banned the package pile driver was much the same. It was sort of paranoid, oh my god, they're all out to get me, what can I do? They won't even let me use my finisher. They're going down the same run with this. It's a character that he plays very well. It works very well for him. As far as the whole sort of match went, I enjoyed it. I felt like at points Shane really added rather than detracted. Good facial expressions, son. Good facial expressions. I really enjoyed the sort of whole story of the match. The ending felt a little sort of, it did feel a little screwy. I get that's obviously what they're building to with Kevin Owens, but if you're trying to portray him as just the mental paranoid character, I mean, you've given him a valid reason. It's not really paranoia when they are out to get you, and that would fucking seem like they're out to get you if you're in that position. It's a good running storyline. I mean, off the back of it, him losing on Raw to AJ again and it being his last opportunity in the belt, I just want to see where that goes, because I've got a feeling that he's going to turn up and fuck shit up again. That's just the next few months. But again, good match, two solid competitors, nothing really wrong with it at all.
No, I agree with you. Is that your opinion?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, obviously, when you announced Shane McMahon as the guest referee, you're expecting lots of bumpy ref stuff, and we got that. Again, I feel the same as Bohan. I think a lot of it Shane added to. I buckled at some points with his facial expressions and he's wincing, and I just thought it was comically hilarious, but didn't really detract at all from it. Overall, good match. I am loving this kind of persona Kevin Owens is slipping into, where he's just going a bit batshit, really. You know, coming out and after the match on the the show after it, and kind of disputing the foot on the ropes and everything was nice. Good match overall, enjoyed it, and I'm really glad that the kind of guest referee spot worked out, because with those types of things it is always kind of 50-50, so I'm quite glad this time round it seemed to work out quite well.
Oh no, definitely agree with you. Shane did add to that match rather than take it away, and like you said, it is always a gamble with a special guest referee. Luckily that gamble paid off with that. Next on the card was the penultimate match. It was Jinder Mahal defending his WWE Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. Jinder Mahal once again won via a screwy finish in which the Singh brothers interfered. I am sick and fucking tired of Jinder Mahal. That guy, he was a jobber in a shitty gimmick. He fucked off, put some weight on, got some muscle, and now the WWE think that he's the fucking dog's bollocks, and he really isn't. I'm sick and tired of screwy finishers. I'm sick and tired of Jinder Mahal. If they want to put him over as a champion, have him win clean. If you want to put him over as a heel champion who can't win, have him lose clean. Have him lose a match after somebody overcomes all the screwy finishes. Don't keep giving him screwy finish wins. If you want to put him over strong, have him win cleanly, because it's getting fucking redundant right now. And I'm sick of it. The sooner he loses that belt, the better. I'm tired of Jinder Mahal. And Shinsuke losing that match after looking so dominant for the last few weeks, and John Cena allowing him to go over clean, and then Shinsuke to lose via a screwy finish. Absolute fucking dog shit decision. And the fact he didn't get the WWE Championship is a travesty, and hopefully he gets some chance to win it at another later stage. If it's against Jinder Mahal and he wins it, fucking great. If it's anybody other than Jinder Mahal, fucking great. I'm sick of Jinder Mahal. The sooner he loses his belt and fucks back off, the better.
I'm not angry. I'm just disappointed. I was so disappointed that belt didn't go in Shinsuke. I don't understand. Like, I really thought, like, he's been pushed so well so far with the going over John Cena and everything. It was great. I really think he should have been the one to take the belt away, and I think he should have done it first time. I am right there with you in the sick of Jinder Mahal club. Someone, please hinder Jinder. Like, I'm just fed up, and I'm fed up of the Singh brothers at his side. Like, I think you're right. I think if he was winning clean, I wouldn't be so bothered. But it's shitty finish after shitty finish, and it's just wearing him out on me so quickly that he's just lost. Like, I really did, like, when he first got it, I thought, oh, well, maybe this will actually go somewhere. It'll be quite good. He came out of, like, nowhere to get that belt, but it's just gone nowhere, and it's just been really terrible, and I'm sick of him, and I can't wait for somebody to take that belt off him, and it should have been Shinsuke. I don't know why it wasn't. I don't know who made that decision. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's really cynical, the whole thinking that they're trying to cash in on a different market, but it's really starting to feel like that's what's going on, and they're just not willing to give up on that little push yet. But yeah, no, just really, really disappointed sums up what I thought of that match.
I kind of feel like, as we're talking about this, not even his finisher's strong. Part of the reason why they book Jinder like that is because, frankly, his offense isn't good enough to come over as a convincing champion, and that's maybe the point where you should reconsider putting the belt on someone in the goddamn first place. But realistically, this match was two matches in one. There were the points where Jinder was selling Shinsuke's offense, and Shinsuke Nakamura can have a good match with a fucking broom. And then there were the points where they put Jinder on top, and it just looked garbage. I mean, let's be frank. Shinsuke Nakamura, like I just said, can have a good match with a fucking broom. That means you're worse than a broom, mate. Worse than a fucking broom. Worse than Kota Ibushi's mannequin. Like, that's fucking bad. I shouldn't be able to say that, but I am. I tried to give Jinder a chance. I tried to see how he was going to go on. None of his offense impresses me. Nothing's really there beyond. Like, that shit wouldn't have even flew from a heel in the 80s at this stage. And that's not a very high bar. Like, it's just disappointing to watch. I've saw enough of it at this stage. It's the same match every fucking time as well. every spot that he does is paint by numbers. The Singh brothers coming in at the end is paint by fucking numbers. There's no point. There's really no point in him still having that belt. But I feel like they're building to Shinsuke taking it off of him. Like SmackDown, obviously them talking about how he can't win clean. Like them sort of discussing that ad nauseum in a promo backstage, like kind of lampshading that little trope there. It's only a matter of time before it comes off him. It's probably going to be Shinsuke. It's probably going to be No Mercy. There'll need to be some kind of step. It's possibly going to be a Hell in a Cell. I think it would be a Hell in a Cell, realistically, if they can keep the Singh brothers out, or if they force on an old stipulation like, well, if the Singh brothers get involved, you're going to get stripped of your title. It's going to come down to something like that at this stage. And when he finally drops it, it's going to be worth it. But it's been a hell of a torrid run. We're, 4 months into it now? And I can't think of a single moment in it where I've actually genuinely enjoyed it. It's time for it to come off him.
No, I agree with everything that you and Claire have both said. Jinder Mahal, it's time to go. And then after that disappointment, we had an enjoyable match in which Brock Lesnar defended successfully defended his WWE Universal Championship against Roman Reigns, Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman in a fatal four-way match with the kind of added warning, I guess, / stipulation that if Brock was to lose the belt, Brock was going somewhere. I kind of realized as soon as Brock defended the championship, I kind of knew that the John Bones Jones fight wasn't going on. And now that, John Jones has been kind of stripped or banned from fighting due to banned substances, that fight's not going to happen. So kind of makes sense for Brock to remain as the champion right now if that fight's not going to go ahead. But I enjoyed the match. I always like seeing Paul Heyman's introduction for Brock Lesnar. It's always fun to see that. But there were some nice spots. Braun Strowman looking as strong as ever, putting Brock through not one but 2 announce tables via power slams, and then picking up the third announce table and just dropping it on Brock Lesnar. I love Braun Strowman. Everything he does, his power slams are fantastic. I just love Braun Strowman. Would have liked to have seen him win that title? Yes. Am I happy that anybody other than Roman Reigns won the title? Fuck yes. And I enjoyed that match thoroughly, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Brock Lesnar does next.
Yeah, I enjoyed this match. I was a little bit disappointed that Brock didn't drop the belt, but with the stipulation that he was to leave if he dropped the belt, it kind of makes sense that he didn't, especially now, like you said, that we know he's not got anything kind of set up in outside of WWE to go to, which was kind of why I think everyone thought that potentially he might have dropped it if he was going somewhere. Loved the table spot, loved the taking Brock out. I think it was maybe I'm being a bit cynical and it was to give Brock a rest. But I liked it. I liked the table spot. I liked having the table dropped on top of him after he'd been through one. It was a genuinely good match, good end to the show, and really did enjoy it quite a lot.
Brock Lesnar sells well, but Claire remarked on it when he came out, he looked kind of swollen. So obviously for anyone who doesn't know, Brock Lesnar suffers from diverticulitis, which is a condition where your bowels, where there's these things called the diverticula, there's sacs in where your bowels are. Basically they can be inflamed by things like sort of pips and stuff like that. So realistically, if your diet's not on point, which it's hard to do when you're on like sort of tours like he is, it can get really bad. It looked like he was suffering a lot of that match. So I think you're right. I think it was to give him a rest, but I can understand why if that's the case. Get the best Brock you can get out of him, realistically. If he needs the time, he needs the time. Getting dumped through 2 tables and the third one dropped on him was fantastic. I mean, the ringside area looked like a fucking bomb had hit it by the time all was said and done with this match. Really enjoyed this overall. To pick up on the John Bones Jones thing, so basically he's tested positive for an anabolic steroid. That still has to go through arbitration. So basically the procedure is at this stage that it will go in front of a sport court Sport court, it rhymes. But he'll go in front of them. They'll make a decision on whether they believe it was deliberate or not. That's kind of the key thing. Because as rare as it is, it happens from like tainted supplements and stuff. That kind of decision has to be made at the time. If he is found guilty, he'll be facing a 4-year ban because this is his second substance ban. So if he is found guilty, it's as good as the end of his career, and we're not going to see him versus Lesnar unless it happens somewhere in Japan, possibly Inoki Genome Federation. There's every chance Antonio Inoki will book that because he has a massive hard-on for Brock Lesnar. But like, realistically, he could still go, but it was too up in the air for him to drop that belt and bugger off for a bit. The match itself was fantastic. Like there were a lot of really good spots. The 4 guys played really well with each other. We saw as little a Roman Reigns as was probably possible through it. We saw Braun Strowman try to murder everything. Braun Strowman, when he first came in, I wasn't keen on him. Until probably quite recently, I wasn't that keen on him. But they've done such a good job with him lately, but that I can't help but feel a little bit of joy when I see him. He's accidentally turned face at this stage. That should tell you a lot about how far he's came in this space of time. He looks great. He works great. Dumping Brock Lesnar through 2 tables and dropping a third on him makes him look like an absolute fucking monster. It took a bit of luck for Brock to retain that belt. That's the real story here. Brock Lesnar no longer looks like the unbeatable monster if you give him a stacked enough odd. So I think we're probably going to see Strowman versus Lesnar at some point soon on its own. I think he did enough in that match to be entitled to it. I'm looking forward to seeing that when it finally comes. All in all, again, really good match, really good main event. Some really nice spots in it. As soon as I saw Lesnar going away, I knew he was fucking coming back, though. Having him win the belt, having him sort of retain his belt, worked well enough. I was happy with that ending because realistically, the other endings meant Brock Lesnar going away. I'm not quite ready for it. I can sense it might be coming soon, but I'm not quite ready for it yet.
Oh, I just remembered. I think it has already been announced that it is Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman at No Mercy for the title.
Good. If it has been announced and I've just missed it, like it may have been announced on Raw or something, I wasn't paying attention because there was 3 of us in the room talking at the time. Great. That'll be a good match. I wonder if Strowman will take it or not. I think they might paint Strowman as too green to beat Brock in that match, but that's a good payoff from this. I'm more than happy with the finish if that's what it leads to, you know?
Oh, no, definitely. So we've run through our top 5s. We've run through SummerSlam. I know it's not strictly speaking a wrestling related thing, but there is a fight going on tonight, but early hours in the morning for ourselves. Floyd Mayweather coming out of retirement to face Conor McGregor. Opinions and prediction, Bohan. Where do you reckon that one's going to go?
It's pretty obvious, isn't it? A 5-division world champion versus a man who's never had a fucking boxing match in his puff. It's Floyd fucking Mayweather. I mean, if you're going to pick a first opponent, I mean this is no understatement. I don't think it goes far enough, but it's the closest thing I can think to point to. If McGregor actually wins that fight, the closest thing I can think to in my memory of it is Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson. And these upsets occasionally do happen, but the reality of it is you're talking about going in there with a man who's 49-0 and you've never had a professional boxing match. Fair fucks to you. You stand to make about 75 million just for losing. I get why you're doing it. But I mean, let's not get it twisted. The reality of the fact is that boxing and MMA are 2 very different sports. It's like someone who is a professional breakdancer fucking off to work with the Royal Bolshoi. It's not going to happen. It's just too much to ask of anyone, even with 8-ounce gloves. McGregor's going to get knocked the fuck out round 4 or 5, probably. Gas himself real quick. Mayweather will dance around him. But I think Mayweather will want to make the point of putting him out. Punctuation mark on the career.
No, as much as I don't want to agree with you, I have no choice but to. Personally, I think Floyd Mayweather is an absolute cunt, and I'd like to see Conor McGregor smack the taste out of his mouth, but I can't see it happening. Yes, Conor McGregor might be an arrogant prick, but I like him. I like how he talks. I like what he says, and I like Conor McGregor. maybe one day, if his UFC career doesn't pick up again, who knows? Maybe we'll see him in the WWE ring. The amount of smack that he's talked, he's got no end of feuds he could go into. Maybe we'll get Ronda Rousey at some point. Who knows? But we might see either of those coming to WWE eventually.
He'll get fucking crucified in that locker room if he does, though. It'd probably be the biggest mistake in his professional career if he takes a contract from them.
Do you reckon Ronda Rousey's going to turn up anytime soon?
Rumour is she's working with Kendrick. To be confirmed. We'll see what happens. I think Claire's waiting to jump in here, though.
Go on, Claire.
Yeah, see, I think they're both cunts. I don't really like either of them. I used to watch a lot of MMA, kind of fell away from it. I've never been a giant boxing fan, but I'm the opposite way around from you. I really dislike McGregor more than I dislike Mayweather, and I would really want to see Mayweather knock the taste out of McGregor's mouth. So we're on opposite sides of this with the same opinion, but in opposite directions. I can't get on board with McGregor. I can't stand him. Like, I can't even stand looking at him. He just irritates me, and I think I've read quite a lot about it. Obviously, it's a big fight, but it's, in my opinion, and this is me probably being quite cynical, which I know I am, but it's a fucking circus, and it's not got anything to do with, personally, I don't think it's anything to do with the best in MMA going up against the best in boxing. It's fucking money. That's all this fight's about. It's about nothing other than a fucking payday for the people involved. And to be honest, the build up to it's went on for so fucking long. I can't wait for it to be over tonight. I really, really can't. And I'll probably watch it. And I would like Mayweather to win rather than McGregor, but I'm not sure I really care. I just can't wait for it to be over, to be honest. And that fucking belt they've had made is ridiculous. If you've not seen it, have a look. It's fucking over the top as anything. And, as if their purses that they're going to get out of this, whether they win or lose, isn't enough money to go and chuck that belt on top of it. It's just a farce. They shouldn't get a belt. It's not a championship match. There shouldn't be a fucking belt involved. It's disrespectful to the people who are actually fighting for belts, in my opinion. But yeah, I'll calm down a little bit.
No, I agree with you.
As a long-term boxing fan, for what it's worth, because I used to sit and watch with my dad when it was on ITV, every sort of second or third Saturday, watch the British fights and stuff. I fucking love boxing. I've loved boxing since I was quite young. It's one of the highlights of the Olympic calendar for me. It's one of the highlights of sort of sport year in, year out. But boxing, even from the perspective of a big boxing fan, is a sport that doesn't have a great deal of credibility left. It's well known to be one of the most corrupt sports in the world. It's driven by money. It's not really about what it was about, say, even 10, 15 years ago. It's really disappointing to see this having been as big a deal as it is and seeing everything go through. It's made an absolute mockery of the sport, to be frank. The only thing I can hope for out of this, as a boxing fan, don't get me wrong, I like MMA too, but as a boxing fan, the one thing I can hope out of this is that this is over within a couple of rounds, because frankly, otherwise it makes an even bigger mockery out of boxing, because it shows that look at this wee fud that did a 6-month training camp who has absolutely zero boxing experience did to, yes, albeit a 40-year-old who hasn't been in the ring in 2 years, but a five division champion. It's made such a mockery of the sport to begin with. I just want to see the little bit of credibility that boxing can actually salvage out of this maintained as a fan, frankly. It's been a farce up to it, and I just want it to be over.
No, I agree with you. The sooner it's done, the better. It should never have happened. Mayweather, yeah, he is. I don't like him, and I want to see him lose, because dear God, how big is his ego going to be if he breaks Rocky Marciano's record?
Well, see, to be fair to him, if he does break Rocky Marciano's record, it's a mixed bag, because any boxing fan knows that he ducked Pacquiao for 4 or 5 years until he thought he could beat him. at the end of the day, that 49-0 record, even if it goes 50-0, is going to be forever tainted by the fact that number 50 was Conor McGregor and number 30 odd should have been Pacquiao and wasn't. He's beat some guys that I didn't think he would beat. Saul Alvarez was a real surprise, but I mean, like, as far as the whole thing goes, I get it. I don't particularly care for Mayweather at all. I don't really respect like the person. He's a great boxer. That goes without saying. He's a great tactician. He's good at getting in people's heads. Pound for pound, one of the best boxers that's ever lived. Pound for pound, one of the worst human beings that's ever lived. It's a mixed bag. But I mean, realistically, I'm with Claire on this. I think they're both cunts. The ultimate turnout for me, were it not for the fact that boxing in and of itself, a sport that I so love, would lose credibility, the ultimate outcome for me would be a double KO. But I mean, realistically, even the logical part of me can't discard the fact that you're talking about experience versus none. A man who punches from so far back that he couldn't do damage to a boxer, to be frank. We'll see what happens, but for my money, the bookies have got this one right. It's a one-sided affair.
No, I like I said, I don't want to agree with you, but I'm gonna have to. But I think we'll leave it there, and we'll see what the outcome is of that match in the early hours of tomorrow morning. But for now, we've gone through our list. We discussed SummerSlam. We discussed some a non-wrestling topic there for the first time. So I think it's a good a point as any to say good evening. So it's good night from me.
It's you'll do fucking nothing for me.
And it's good night from me.
And thanks for listening to Talking Trash. We'll catch you all again next time.